Hello and welcome to another round of Championship predictions from the On Sport podcast. I'm Craig Savage, and with me as always is Mr. Daniel Cody. Let's have a quick recap of match day 16, the midweek edition, and it was absolutely fantastic for Mr. Daniel Cody. 3 perfect scores. They were for Millwall v Reading, Forest v Sheffield United, and Blackpool versus Stoke. I had a pretty bad Tuesday, consolation of 3 points on the odd game here and there. So Cody wins match day 16 with 11 points to 3. So let's start off with match day 17. It's 3 o'clock. There's no early kickoff, no Friday night fixture. Happy days. Let's start with Barnsley. They're at home to Hull. It's another big relegation point, 6-pointer, and they've done themselves justice. No manager, 3 points against Derby.
Yeah, and to be fair, it's exactly what they needed, because neither of us predicted them to win in midweek based on the fact that at the time Marcus Schopp was still in his job. They did, though, concede a goal against Derby, who have been a little poor in front of goal, and it wasn't a great goal they let in either. However, we haven't seen Barnsley come from behind. We haven't seen many second-half goals, as we alluded to in the manager special earlier in the week, and both of those things happened. Obviously, Hull is going to be a massive game for them as well, because if Hull beat them, they're back above them in the league, and it starts to look like a crisis again. But more crucially, Barnsley could actually come out of the relegation zone this weekend, and if they can win that, then get a manager in for the international break and start to build momentum, it could still be a decent season for Barnsley, because the league is pretty tight-knit. Because Hull can't score goals, because I'm so sure Barnsley will be able to get 1 or 2 with the new interim manager bounce, I'm going to go for Barnsley 2, Hull City 0.
Yeah, that was a very good 3 points. Obviously, come from behind. They haven't obviously done well to come from behind. Derby were pretty poor as well. We'll get to them in a bit. But yeah, I think that's an absolute confidence boost. Stop that run of 7 straight defeats. I don't understand managerial bounce. It doesn't really bother me, but it seemed to work for them. I think they're going to do it again. Hull obviously can't seem to score unless they make changes themselves. So I'm going to go 1-0 to Barnsley. Right, next up, it's Birmingham versus Reading. Birmingham, another good 3-0 victory at home to Bristol City. Reading injuries starting to pile up. The manager wasn't there because he's got COVID. We wish him a speedy recovery. Reading need players to come back, but they need that stability. They need just a sharp shot.
Yeah, and not only that, obviously there's now this 9-point deduction looming over them, which looks like it's going to happen soon. And as it stands, that would actually put them a point below Barnsley. So it could be Barnsley getting out of the relegation zone by default without even playing at the moment. But yeah, a really difficult day for Reading. I did say Millwall would do to them what Huddersfield did to Millwall, but I didn't expect it to be quite that comfortable. So big concerns, but he's got a small squad to work with, and I'm guessing they're going to have some sort of embargo in January, which is going to make it even harder. In terms of Birmingham, they were absolutely brilliant. They kept Bristol City quiet, a side that are very good on the road, and they made them look poor. They gave up possession. They played like the away team again, and that's when Birmingham are at their best. They did it at home to Swansea. They've done it at home to Bristol City. My question is, will Reading be smart enough to play very defensively, very deep, and force Birmingham to keep the ball? I don't think they will. I think Birmingham are going to go on a little run now, and I'm going to predict them to win by 2-1.
I'm going to go 3-1 to Birmingham. Obviously, they lost to Heath-Chan. He's gone back to Manchester United because he's injured. I'm sure he'll come back at some point, but that little bit of flair. But they seem to work well without him in a weird way, because they've gone a bit more direct. Obviously, I think one of the guys, Troy Deeney, was one the flick on, and the guy was in. Obviously, Reading with an injury crisis at the moment, Birmingham can really exploit that, bully them, to be honest. I think Lee Bowie want to do that. So I think they're going to do that again. I'm going to go 3-1 to Birmingham. Right, next up at Ewood Park, it's Blackburn Rovers versus Sheffield United. Blackburn lost 7-0. What the heck was Paul van Heck doing for that stupid red card?
Yeah, it wasn't good, was it? And completely the right decision. For all the criticism officials get, they aren't getting any for that one. And then Fulham were just Fulham at their best. But Blackburn defensively, we said it in the last episode, we thought it'd be a close game, but the one thing we said is Blackburn are the most patchy team in the league. And if ever 2 weeks proves it, that is it. And Lord knows what they're going to do this weekend. My problem is the Forest Sheffield United game was one of the sort of non-events of the midweek. It was nothing for 75 minutes, couple of chances, couple of goals, one apiece. And you don't really know what to predict on either side of the fence in this game. Sheffield United have been inconsistent. Blackburn have been for years. Everything about me wants me to sit on the fence, but I don't think that's how it's going to pan out. So I'm going to go for a thrilling bounce back from Blackburn by 3-1. And we say on the odd occasion we have to just go on a hunch. So that's what I'm going for there.
No, I disagree. Obviously, it's Blackburn's worst result at home ever. It was just awful. I know it's Fulham, and I'll get to Fulham later on. But yeah, that was just awful. Sheffield United, if they can turn it on, if they can get their goal scorers going, they can really pick that weak defence for Blackburn at the moment. Their confidence will be shot. I'm going to go Sheffield United to win 2-1. Right, next up, it's Bournemouth versus Swansea at the Vitality. Bournemouth lost. Hello, game changer.
Yeah, Bournemouth can't complain. Preston were really good value for it. And to be fair, the Bournemouth concern has to be at the back that the 2 goals came in very similar ways. And defensively, probably the first time since those early weeks of the season where they let the lead slip against Blackpool, where they have shown those defensive frailties. But Swansea were probably the opposite of that, weren't they? They went to an invincible home side in Coventry and flew out the traps. Within 15 minutes, the game was almost over. Coventry, of course, fought back as you'd expect, a good home side. But Swansea created chances. They looked decent. They played good football. And there's a sign in the last 4 or 5 games that Russell Martin's just starting to turn things there and get the players used to his style of play. The only defeat was obviously Birmingham, but 4 wins and a draw in the last 6. I fancy Swansea to have a real go at this, but I do think Bournemouth will bounce back. I think they'll be really resolute at the back. I'm going to go for 1-0 to Bournemouth, which I'm also aware was my prediction in midweek.
I think this could be a really good game of football. Both teams will want to play out from the back. It'll be on the floor. Swansea, as you said, coming out of the traps very, very quickly and deserved the 2 goals. They exploited Coventry's defence like Luton did a few weeks ago. I think Bournemouth and Swansea will be a draw on the set fence. The Championship favourite scoreline of 1-1. Right, next up, it's Cardiff. They're at home to Huddersfield. Another defeat for Cardiff. So in there, the draw on the Saturday. Huddersfield draw, probably a disappointing draw for them against Peterborough.
Yeah, it was a bit of a weird game, Peterborough-Huddersfield. Again, another one that ignited quite late on. But again, Huddersfield took advantage of Peterborough's frailties from set pieces. You would expect Cardiff not to have them with the defenders they've got in their side, but we've seen for much of this season that their names on paper have not translated onto the pitch. I will say that the Cardiff performance against QPR was all right. It was a pretty even game in truth. It was just individual quality and strikers in form, which Andre Gray is for QPR. Again, Huddersfield on the road aren't quite the same side. They've only won 2 away games this season and not recently, but they normally keep it quite tight. I'm going to go for 0-0.
Okay. I think there will be goals in this game. I'm not expecting a quality game. I think obviously both teams probably go a bit direct. Huddersfield can obviously not be bullied like Johnson Clark Harris did for the goal. That would be a bit different. But I think Cardiff will lose again. I think Huddersfield might have just a bit enough. And I think it'll be a very good away victory for them. I'm going to go 2-1 to Huddersfield. Right, next up at the CBS, it is Coventry versus Bristol City. Coventry lost for the first time in returning to the stadium to Swansea. Bristol City were absolutely god-awful against Birmingham. Do you expect Coventry to bounce back?
It's hard to tell, isn't it? Because before midweek, or before maybe the week before, you would have said Coventry a brilliant home side, Bristol City one of the best away teams in the league. How on earth are you going to predict it? Now it's hard because both of them have been absolutely pummeled in the area where they're supposed to be stronger. It's back-to-back 3-0 away defeats for Bristol City, and they didn't look good against Birmingham. And Coventry, but I guess the thing to say is a bit like the Luton game, isn't it? It was just a half. It was a poor half that cost them the game.
Defensive mistakes as well.
Exactly. And look, Coventry haven't got one of the biggest budgets in the league. They haven't got one of the biggest sides on paper. You've got to expect odd defensive errors. And probably bar the top 3, you would expect that from any side in the Championship at points this year. So I think Coventry will bounce back. They've still been fairly consistent. They've only lost 2 games in the last 6. Bristol City, you thought it was going to turn after finally getting that home win, but straight back down to earth the next day. Now their away form's dried up. So I don't know. I think Coventry have to be the favourites, but I've predicted them to win 4 games in a row and they've only won 1. So that's haunting me a little. Regardless, 2-1 Coventry.
The things for Coventry that they know how to score goals. I think that's a positive we can take. At home, they can score goals. Bristol City, I can't see them scoring a goal, especially, I know obviously you're saying the away form's better. I just can't see it. I just didn't, watching the highlights against Birmingham, I couldn't see anything. I just didn't see nothing. I'm just like, come on. So I still think they'll lose this game anyway. Bristol City, I'm going to go 2-0 to Coventry. Right, coming up next at Kenilworth Road, it's the Nathan Jones derby. It is Luton Town versus Stoke City. Stoke, classic Michael O'Neill performance, 1-0 win. Well done you for getting that right. Luton, 5 minutes are fantastic, makes it 3-1.
Yeah, I think the worry is, though, that the other 85 minutes was a very even, probably nothing game for the most part. But we've got a side that can score goals this year, and that is a massive difference for Luton Town. Stoke, it was a Michael O'Neill special, and it was against a Blackpool side who were in terrific form. So looks like they've finally stopped the rot. And to be solid defensively after the shambles against Cardiff at the weekend is a big turnaround for them. I think this is another stinker to predict, because I thought the Luton Middlesbrough game would be very low scoring, and you could argue bar 5 minutes it was. But I don't know, because Stoke are mid-table away from home. Luton have been good at home this year, but they're a different side under the lights than the weekend. So I think this will be a pretty boring game. And I think we're going to need our FA Cup tie on Sunday to make up for it. So I'm going to go for a Luton Town special. I'm going to go for 1-0 to Luton.
I don't know why I'm celebrating that. We're supposed to be neutral, even though we're not. I think Luton will win this game as well. Stoke have been a bit inconsistent. They'll lose to Millwall, and then they'll get a comfortably 3-0 up against Cardiff and then blow it. And then they obviously win away at Blackpool, which we didn't really think would happen. I know you did, but I didn't think it would be a tight game as it is. I expect another tight game. I think Luton fans are desperate to get one over Stoke, even though they did in the league table last season, but to win a game against them with Nathan Jones in charge of Luton this time, they want to get that win. And it'd be interesting to see how Nathan Jones will celebrate if Luton win against Stoke. I think Luton win this one 2-1, because at the moment, I know defensively they're getting better, but they did get caught out by a very good counter-attack on Tuesday. So hopefully that will improve. They did look a lot better once they switched Bradley and Naismith around in the back three. But yes, 2-1 to Luton. Right, up next at the New Den, it is Millwall versus Derby. Millwall, typical 1-0 win at home. Derby blew the chance to go off the bottom of the table by losing. They didn't play particularly well, according to Wayne Rooney.
No, and the goals they conceded were really poor, particularly the second one. I know it was a good finish into the top corner, but so much space. It looked like almost that they were the centre-halves were trying to play an offside trap, but the fullbacks weren't part of that. And I know they're a bit of a patched-together side at the moment, but still, you would hope that they could be a bit more solid than that on the road. So a big shame for Derby. And in my opinion, it's the result that probably will seal their fate, because now they're 6 or 7 without a win. They're starting to lose rather than just cling on for draws. And more importantly, they've conceded 7 goals in their last 4. For a side that don't score many, you can't afford that. Millwall, I know you say it was a typical 1-0 win, but they were actually really good. They were everything that they weren't in the Huddersfield game or the Luton game, and they were everything they were in the second half against Stoke. So a really good result for Millwall. They just haven't got the legs to do it consistently. But saying that, they're on 24 points. They're one off the playoffs, like most other teams in the league as well. But still, Millwall, they're still in with a sniff. The thing that's letting them down is a lack of goals. They've scored 16 in 16. They're always reliant on winning games by 1. Against a side like Derby, I think they'll get away with it, but I'm not sure in some of the others. So I'm going to go for 1-0 to Millwall. I think this is the first low-scoring weekend I'm going for all season, isn't it?
Yeah, because you've already gone for 3-1-0s. All for the home team. Yeah, I think Millwall will win this one. It's how Derby are going to deal with Millwall's aerial threat. That's going to be my worry for Derby, because they didn't do well against Luton with an aerial threat. And I'm worried about that because they're quite a tall side, Millwall. Yeah, 2-0 to Millwall. Right, next up, the City Ground. It is Nottingham Forest versus Preston. And we criticised Preston for most of this championship season, but 2 wins in a row against 2 very solid teams. It's the tide turned for Preston.
I don't know if it's tide turned. I think they're just a mid-table team who are going to have results like that. I saw one of the comments on the Preston official highlights, and it was just a Preston fan saying this last 2 weeks has been so Preston. So I think that sums up the mood at the moment. I think, to be fair to them, they're probably the side in the better shape going into this. And you've got to be fair, quite a lot of teams often go out of the cup early on because they want to rest players for the league and prioritise that. I would argue Preston's cup run and their performance against Liverpool has probably been the catalyst for this. And I think that's been a really good turning point for them. Nottingham Forest, the new manager bounce has worn off. The game against Sheffield United was a bit of a bore fest, if we're being honest, particularly for the first 75 minutes. It's 3 without a win now, and you feel they've got to turn the tide as well. So it's so easy to go for Preston on back-to-back wins, but it's the end of a very tough week if you look at it the other way. And I think Forest will get the victory. They're the second worst team at home in the league this season, but they're going to change that. They're going to win by 2-1 because I can't keep going for 1-0.
I'm going to go 1-0. Take your result. 1-0 to Forest. I think Preston might have, I don't want to be rude, but anyway, I think they might have just gassed themselves out. Probably the nicer term. I don't want to say the other bit. But yeah, I think they might have gassed themselves out. 2 tough performances, obviously, Wednesday and Saturday just gone. And obviously Liverpool before that. So 3 tough games. I think you might just tire out. I think this will probably be the game. If Forest can exploit that with Brennan Johnson grabbing, obviously getting an equaliser on Tuesday, it'll be a tight game. I'm going Forest to win 1-0. Right, next up at London Road, it is Peterborough versus Fulham. Fulham, it was 7-7 for them. And Peterborough, a very good point coming from behind in Darren Ferguson's 500th posh game.
It was an interesting game, the Peterborough one, actually. They were the usual feeble from set pieces and defensively conceded a real scrappy goal from a set piece. But then they've got a championship front line. Johnson, Clark, Harris back. You mentioned it earlier with the Huddersfield one. Pinned the defender at the back post, bullied him off the ball. And albeit he didn't direct the header too well, he got enough power on it to take it into the back of the net. Fulham, look, we can't judge much on that because Blackburn were awful after the red card. But it is constant hammerings at the moment. I mean, the last 5 games, they've scored 2 4s, a 3, a 2 and a 7. You can't argue with that. And against one of the most probably weak defences in the league, the side that have conceded the most goals, 31 Peterborough have let in. I think there's going to be a big addition to that tally. Peterborough will score because Fulham, I think they'll be a little bit complacent. They'll be a little bit too gung-ho and try and see this as an opportunity to get a lot of goals. But I can only see a comfortable Fulham win. It's whether I really push the boat out or think it's going to be a bit more reserved. Let's go nuts. I've gone low scoring the whole time. 5-1 Fulham.
I'm so glad you said 5-1 because I was going to go 4-1 to Fulham. The reason why I'm going to say Fulham, and it's not being harsh on Peterborough, let's be brutally honest. Fulham deemed they have to go out of second gear against Blackburn, and that's the worrying thing about it. They didn't have to get out of second gear. Yes, Blackburn handed it to them on the plate, but Fulham took full advantage of that. Now it's going to be against a weaker defence, statistically, against Peterborough, but tight ground. Maybe because Harry Wilson seems to have a world of space for a couple of goals. So I know, say 4-1, it'd be obviously a lot tighter than it was on Wednesday. 4-1, yes, but tighter. Anyway, moving on. West Brom, they're at home to a Middlesbrough. West Brom obviously bounced back a bit, done well, got that win against Hull. Middlesbrough done it again, conceded two quick goals against Birmingham. This time they conceded 3 quick goals, 3 in 5 minutes, and they cost them the game.
Yeah, it was a self-imposed collapse. The first goal, ironically, I think the first goal, for as much as the defensive qualities weren't there for the second and third, the fact that Luton's tallest player, most imposing figure in the air, had 4 or 5 yards of free space for the header for the first goal will really infuriate Warnock. And I'm sure he will have had a little go at Matt Crooks. I don't think it's a surprise that he came off not long after.
Well, he was on the booking as well.
Yeah, and obviously there was a little bit of talk about red card. There were loads of weird shouldn't they penalty calls in that game for both sides, which I found quite interesting. But Luton under the lights at Kenilworth Road for a young side of Middlesbrough where a lot of players are out. I'm not entirely surprised that when the first goal went in, the rest happened. I've got to be honest with that. The problem is West Brom away is going to be a very similar sort of experience, a very tall team, a team that relies on set pieces, a team that's very experienced and knows how to defend. And for all of their problems going forward at times, West Brom, they've looked pretty solid at the back this year and are conceding less than 1 a game. So it was a very comfortable 1-0 against Hull. They still don't look brilliant, West Brom, but they're getting results and I think they'll get another. I'm stuck between 1 or 2-0 again, and I'll go for 2 this time.
Yeah, I think Middlesbrough, first off, they looked good. All right. No, I wouldn't say good. Very good goal. They scored very good on the counter-attack. Sol Bamba, I love Sol Bamba. I thought he was excellent for the first half. It was unreal. But yeah, mistakes cost them again. And basically, they could see 5 goals in 7 minutes in 2 games, if you look at the stats. So that would be very worrying. They're costing themselves. They didn't look, to be honest, they didn't look like really scoring after going 3-1 down, though. I think that the 3 goals hit them badly. They didn't really look like scoring after that. Regarding West Brom, I find them boring now. I really do. I thought I was expecting a bit more from them, but I find them really boring. I'm going to go 1-1. I'm going to 1-1 this game. If Middlesbrough can deal with West Brom's aerial threat, and they've obviously got to do a lot better than what they did against Luton. If they give Carl Bartley that amount of space or Ajayi, then you're asking for trouble. But I think 1-1 this game. I think Warnock will learn his lesson. And congratulations to Neil Warnock as well. 1,602 games in professional football. So
he got good ovation as well.
It did get a good ovation. Right, final game. It's the 5:30 kickoff. It is Blackpool versus Queen's Park Rangers. Blackpool lost 1-0 to Stoke. QPR won 1-0 to Cardiff.
Yeah, it was two interesting games. It's two teams that are in mixed form, really, aren't they? Blackpool are looking great till that Stoke game, but you just sense it's a similar sort of thing. I always mention the example of Sheffield United in the Premier League. If you keep winning games by one goal, eventually that tide is going to turn, particularly if you start to run out of players, if you're playing 3-game weeks, if you've got a lack of confidence in the squad. And I just worry that for Blackpool, after a great start, this might be a little difficult spell, although the international break's coming at a perfect time. QPR were really decent against Cardiff. It wasn't a great game, but a 1-0 away win is something you can never complain about. They've got goal scorers galore, whether it's Gray, whether it's Dykes, whether it's Charlie Austin. There's goal scorers throughout the squad. Even Chair behind them has scored a fair few this year. But they're so inconsistent. They hadn't won in 3 before that. It still wasn't a great display. And as much as I actually think Blackpool are going to lose this game, I haven't yet gone for a Championship's favourite scoreline. So I've got to sit on the fence and put a 1-1 in at the end, or I'd never forgive myself.
Oh, that's what I was going to go for. Right. Okay. So QPR, very good, classic 1-0 away Championship performance. I'd be happy with that. Blackpool probably gave it all just Stoke's quality. I think one bit of quality from Stoke won them the game. Under the lights on TV, I'm going to go Blackpool to win. It's the pretty inconsistency of QPR. I'm going to go Blackpool to win 2-0. Let's have a quick recap of what we predicted for match day 17, and there's a lot of home wins. The standout away win for both of us is Fulham to beat Peterborough quite convincingly, even though that probably will go in Peterborough's way. So that'll make us look silly. And those are predictions for match day 17. Do you agree with us or disagree with us? Let us know in the comment section down below. Give us your predictions for this weekend's action. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the Honest Football Podcast, and you can follow us on Twitter @HonestFootball3. And we'll see you next time.